Hey guys, my name is Rob Noire, and welcome to a very special episode of Can I Fix It? So this was a show that I used to do way back in the day, like probably over a year since the last time I did one of these episodes, where I take like old retro stuff like controllers, games, peripherals that don't work, and then I try and fix them on camera, on screen, try and get them working. You can kind of live through me, see this journey, see the struggle, see if it works, and it was always really fun to do, and a lot of the episodes actually got a really good response from you guys, even though it really was just me being like, I kind of know what I'm doing. I hope this works. Let's see what happens. So I figured I would bring this show back at some point, and this is just, there's not a lot I have planned for it, but I felt like it was finally time to do an episode. And today we're going to be covering a kind of broken, or at least not working properly, Super Nintendo controller. So some of you guys might be familiar with the video I did a few months back, actually probably about like 6 months back at this point, about the analog Super NT, the HD Super Nintendo using an FPGA core made by Analog. And in that video, I got in depth and I covered everything that this thing could do. And one of my only disappointments in that video was at the time, I had not been able to get my hands on one of these special Super Nintendo controllers that were released alongside of the console. They were wireless, they were made by, I believe, Retrobit, and at the time, they were only selling them on Amazon.com, which would not ship to my country. Later on, they put them on eBay, so now I probably could get them if I wanted to, but I was disappointed at the time that I couldn't get those, and in that video I was using a third-party controller, which I'll be showing here. And this third-party controller worked. I mean, it did what it was supposed to do, but like a lot of third-party controllers for a lot of systems, it's kind of crappy. Especially the D-pad, I noticed was really bad on this third-party controller. And unfortunately, try as I might, I could not find a good working original Super Nintendo controller. All the ones I found were super worn out, and they were just even worse than the third-party controller that I was using. Now, in that video on the Analog Super NT, one of my subscribers commented, a guy named Zephyr, that I should just find an original Super Nintendo controller that's worn out and then swap out the conductive pads and everything else with this kit that he highly recommended. And he claimed that using this kit made the Super Nintendo controller one of the best controllers he'd ever used, and the D-pad to be the actual best D-pad he had ever used. So now I have in my possession a good Super Nintendo controller. This one right here, which maybe you can see, maybe it's in focus, I don't know, I don't have a camera guy, it's all just me here, guys. So this one right here, hopefully it looks good. This is a very good working original Super Nintendo controller. The D-pad is good, the buttons are good, everything is great, and it looks good. It's very gray, it's in great shape. Now this is not the controller that I've been using for the longest time though. What I had actually upgraded to was this kind of yellow, crusty, almost pea-colored Super Nintendo controller, which is also an original and also works pretty well for the most part, although all of the buttons are kind of worn out, as well as the D-pad. The only thing that works really well, I find, is the shoulder buttons. I guess that's because not a lot of Super Nintendo games really highly rely on those, so whoever previously owned this didn't wear those out. So in this video, what I'm going to do with this crusty old controller is not only swap out all the contact pads for the D-pad, the buttons, everything else, but I'm also going to fix it up so that it turns out gray like the original controller, like the other good one that I have here. Like, I want this yellowy controller over here that really rattles a lot when I shake it to look as good as this one over here. Nice gray, and have the buttons be as good or better. Who knows, maybe I'm actually improving on the original Super Nintendo controller by using this. Besides swapping out the contact pads, which obviously I'll do on camera with the kit, I'm going to try and get rid of that yellow texture. And this is something that actually a lot of people have done before on the actual Super Nintendo console, because the original console itself is actually very prone to yellowing, especially the original, like the first batch. And a lot of people have come up with a bunch of tricks and methods that I'm going to use on this controller to restore the console back to its nice gray color. And I've never seen anyone do it with the controller, but because it is the same plastic, the same material, it should in theory work. So at the end of this gross yellow controller should be looking as good as this newish looking other one. And the process of getting the plastic back to that gray color is actually very lengthy, like extremely lengthy. So this video, what I'm filming right now, it's not going to be completed in this day. It's all going to be one video, but it could actually be a couple months or at least a couple weeks before I actually get this looking how I want it to. So this is gonna be a long haul video for me, and we're gonna be able to see kind of like the time lapse and see everything. So yeah guys, I'm kind of just stalling there because I know it's gonna be a lot of work, but I'm just gonna dive right into this, and we're gonna see if I can improve and make this gross Super Nintendo controller look brand new and work as good as new. And then I'm gonna compare it side by side with an original controller, and we'll see which one holds up the best. What is the best Super Nintendo controller that you can get? Alright guys, so it has now been about 2.5 weeks that this controller has been sitting outside in the sun in hydrogen peroxide, and the difference is literally stunning. Like, this looks so good. Like, I'll do a close-up over here on the table so that you can really see the difference. This looks really, really good, especially when you compare it to another yellowed controller that I recently picked up. And if you put it side by side with a brand new controller, it's almost the exact same. Like, I would say this has regained about 95% of its gray color compared to how it used to be. And maybe if I had left it even longer, it would have gotten to the full 100, but I didn't really feel like I was seeing that much progress. So now that we've gotten the color back, now that we've gotten it to look really good, now comes the fun part where I get to actually swap out the contacts and everything with that kit that I showed earlier. So that's what we're gonna do right now. I'm just gonna cut right to the table and we're gonna get right to it. And oh, actually, if you want a really good indicator, I didn't soak my bumpers in hydrogen peroxide and now they are very yellow still. That, you know what, for the purpose of this video, I am going to put it together for this video, but I think I'll actually soak these later just to get rid of that. While doing this, actually, I noticed that one of my buttons is a little bit sticky, so I'm just going to clean that up with a little bit of alcohol, try and make sure that that's all good. Okay, and then here's the actual board that I took out a while ago. Obviously, I'm going to have to put that in pretty much last, so now it would be this here, the actual parts for the new controller, which, I mean, yeah, they look pretty good. They're very similar to what was already there. The advice I was given by Zephyr on this was to not swap out the contacts for the shoulder buttons, because the shoulder button contacts, he had, what was it, connectivity issues? I'm pretty sure that this one's D-pad, right? Yeah, because he had connectivity issues on that one. So then the original shoulder buttons would be these here, which actually slide in very nicely. That's actually not hard to do at all. And then I just got to put the board back in, assuming I'm not missing anything. It doesn't look like I am. Usually for Nintendo controllers, I notice they do like to loop the cable like that. I think to make sure that it doesn't get pulled. So I'm hoping that that was the way it was. Okay, and that actually fit together pretty well. So now I guess it's just screwing all the screws back in, and then we can actually go and test this thing out. All right, guys, so this controller has been put back together. And right off the bat, all these, wow, these buttons feel like, I don't know, I'll see if you can hear that. This is new, and this is old. Like, these buttons feel brand new. Like, these buttons feel great. Shoulder buttons feel the same as they always have. D-pad looks good. I am really excited to try this one out. And on second thought, I'm actually going to leave the yellow shoulder buttons, because then that's actually, wow, this Super Nintendo controller, the shoulder buttons are so worn out that you can't actually see the numbers. I'm going to leave the yellow shoulder buttons on this one, because then I can actually know which is the controller I've modified and which I haven't. But anyways, we're just going to go right to the game room, and I'm going to try this thing out. Alright guys, so now it's time to actually test out this controller that I have cleaned up and modified. To do so, I'm going to use the game Super Mario All-Stars. I'm going to be playing Mario 1. And why I choose that game, like, I'll kind of get into that when we actually boot the game up. And first off, I'm actually going to be trying out the original controller without any modifications to kind of get a baseline for what it should feel like and what I'm used to. And then I'll bust out the new modded one, and we'll see how that goes. So yeah guys, let's just cut right to it. Okay guys, and we're going to be using a file that I've been playing a lot recently, and we'll just go through a level with the regular controller, and then we'll go through with the... Okay, so why I'm choosing this level is because I've been practicing a little bit recently, because I'd like to do the game on the channel, and oh god damn, I am already distracted. I'd like to do this game on the channel, and you guys may or may not know this, I might have mentioned it before, but when I was younger, I was actually decent at speedrunning the very first Mario Bros. On the NES. Like the original that this is kind of like a remake of. And so it's been a lot of years since then, and I am rusty as hell now. But this is basically where I've been getting stuck, is right here in the game. Like a couple levels after this one is when I'm really having problems progressing, so I've played this enough recently to have a good feel for this controller and how it's supposed to feel. So this would be a very good test on how well the new controller performs. And by the way, if you guys haven't played Super Mario All-Stars, I don't know what's wrong with you. This game is amazing. It's a true remake, just with better graphics for the Super Nintendo of the original Mario. It's great. And we're playing it using my analog Super NT. Okay guys, so now I'm gonna swap out to the controller that I've modified, and we'll see how that one feels. Ooh, okay, I really like the, response of the D-pad. Ooh. I'm used to, third-party Super Nintendo controllers, as well as my one good one. So this feels good, actually. The buttons feel about the same, maybe a little bit better, but the D-pad, ooh. Oh! God damn, I almost fucked that up, though. Messed that up. Sorry. I'm trying not to swear as much in my videos. I know a lot of you guys don't like it when I do. Yeah, man, I guess this is probably what it feels like. Oh, God. That was my fault. I guess this is probably what it feels like with a brand new Super Nintendo controller. Like, that feels good. This D-pad feels great. Like, holy crap. But yeah, guys, I am super impressed with this. All in all, the D-pad especially feels wonderful. The buttons feel, about the same. But overall, man, this is one hell of an improvement. So yeah, guys, that pretty much wraps up this video. At the end of the day, I managed to get a Super Nintendo controller to look as good as an original, other than the bumpers, which that was my mistake. And I'm going to leave yellow so I can tell which one's which. But it looks as good as an original, and it feels brand new. Like, the D-pad alone feels brand new. And that's the thing, on any third-party, Super Nintendo controller that I've ever used, the D-pad is super imprecise, and on this one it feels as responsive as on an actual Super Nintendo controller. So I can't recommend this enough, guys. If you need to fix up an original Super Nintendo controller, would highly recommend this kit, would highly recommend this method to get the yellow out, and overall, yeah, I'm really happy with this. So this is now my go-to controller for Super Nintendo. So yeah, guys, thanks a lot for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something, especially if you're trying to fix up your own Super Nintendo controllers. I would highly recommend buy a really worn out original with just with decent shoulder buttons. Get this kit, get some hydrogen peroxide, clean it up to gray, and put this kit in so you have new contacts, and you're pretty much good to go. So yeah, this was very successful. I'm very happy with this. Thanks a lot for watching, and as always, I will see you in the next one. Hey guys, My name is Rob Noire, and today I have a video for you all about the Super NT, this thing right here. Now this is a follow-up to the NT that I've already covered, but in a new way, and that would be N64 controllers, specifically broken ones. So the last Can I Fix It